bro, I've built decent overhead pressing and bench pressing strength, but I've literally, like, my bench PR is it's quite high. I know it's definitely quite high. I'm sure by now I can do like 120 kilograms. Basically, I've hit the 225 bench and I bench above that now, for sure, in a PR. My overhead press is quite strong. I've been making progress with this specific form. But bro, the form that I use all these times, it's not that I blatantly lift with terrible form. Because I thought I was using the right form either way. I never really looked into the form of how to bench, how to overhead press. I just assumed that, if it feels normal for me to do the exercise and I'm engaging the muscle groups and they are growing, I'm likely doing the right thing. But I've had this small form mistake all this time, and it's been in my wrists, bro. Instead of my wrists being straight like this, you can imagine I'm holding the barbell, but it's between my finger here. You can see this hole in my finger. The barbell is between that. Let's just imagine that. Visualize it. When you're actually supposed to be pressing, doing those pressing movements with the barbell especially, or like anything, your wrists are supposed to be more like this, if you can see. Just straight like this. Like you can see how my knuckles are kind of stacked above my forearms in a way. Like you can just draw a straight line. My form has been like this. Like my wrists have literally been bent back and I've been benching like this. You can imagine I'm benching from a sideways angle. My wrists have been like this, bro. They've been bent back. They've not been straight like this. They're supposed to be like this. They're literally supposed to be straight like this. And I know you've probably never noticed this yourself. They've been bent back like this. All these times yes, my numbers have been going up. I've been getting stronger. But my wrists have been like this. They've literally been max bent back, and that's bad form. That is terrible form, bro. That's literally the big mistake that I got strong with, and the reason why it can't work. Like I'm telling you about this right now, because I'm sure you probably do this yourself. Pay attention to your form when you bench heavy, when you do the overhead press with a barbell. Go and look at your form right now. Go and look at videos you've put of yourself. I'm sure you're doing the exact same wrong thing. It's not good. Because yes, excuse me, you've been building muscle, you've been gaining strength with that form. But unfortunately, bro, basically it's something along the lines of, if you just had your form like this all these times, your muscles would basically be able to actually push more weight. Because when you're like this, it's basically like you're not allowing your muscles to fully be used in the movement. You're basically like leaking energy, leaking power whenever you bench, whenever you do overhead press, when your wrists are in this position, because now your wrists have to take on some load when it's supposed to just be like your chest and your shoulders and your triceps taking the load, most of the load when you are benching. But for you, since your wrists are bent back like this, it's like you're dissipating energy, and fine, you can get stronger when you're using that form. But one thing I also looked up on Google and I heard about this, which is actually true, is that you basically, over time, even though you don't feel it right now, I've not been feeling any problems in my wrist, right? Because when you're doing like this is not good form, bro. Like your wrists, the tendons in your wrists, I'm not trying to sound sciencey, but like the tendons in your wrist, they go through a lot when your form is literally like when your wrists are bent back like this and you're benching heavy weight and you're constantly like going up and down, right? You will get to a point where the weight will be too much for your wrists to handle in this position, and that is where you're gonna plateau. That is when you're actually gonna realize flip, and you might even start getting wrist pain, because it doesn't just come when your form is immediately bad, but it comes gradually as you continue to use the bad form. That's what I've looked up and I've realized, and that's why I realized that, yeah, this needs to be fixed. Because yes, you can keep getting stronger, but long term, you're not going to be able to use this. There's a reason why all of those like professional power lifters that you may see occasionally, who bench like tons of weight, you never really see them with their wrists bent back very badly. Like they're never like this. They're usually like this with a slight bend, like a slight one. most of them even use like flipping like wrist reps so that they can keep the wrist joint supported so it doesn't just like go back. Because if your wrists go back like this, you're not gonna be able to handle as much weight. Literally. You're not gonna be able to bench as heavy as you could. Like your muscles are not. Realize this now, bro. Me and you, our chest and shoulder muscles have not been getting as strong as they should have been. You know, triceps, they were not getting as strong as they could have been because you were using this form. So, you're gonna have to destroy your ego now because this is what I've already done recently. I'm just letting you know the facts. Destroy your flipping ego. Take your ego down and allow yourself to either slightly decrease the reps, because I'm telling you, when you start using like proper wrists, it's either on like your working sets, because you know when you do your workout and you have bench, you have overhead press, it's either what you will realize when you're trying to consciously like make sure your wrists are stacked, basically like stacked wrists instead of bent back. When you start doing your bench and overhead press with this form, excuse me, let me get water. It's either you're gonna have to decrease the weight slightly so that you can actually use that proper form for like whatever amount of reps and sets you have prescribed, or you're gonna have to decrease the reps slightly, because I'm telling you, when you start using this form, it's gonna feel weird. Okay, you're not necessarily becoming weaker when you're doing this, because when you actually get good with this form, like when you're used to benching and overhead pressing with this form, in the long term, your bench pressing weight will just keep going up. Like your weight will just keep going up. Your chest and shoulders and triceps will keep making more gains than ever. They're gonna be able to finally like be used properly. Because understand this, when your form is like this, you're not properly allowing your strength to be used by your muscles. You're not properly doing that because your wrists are kind of taking the load. Realize that, like, that's huge. That's why I've started doing this. For me, I've slightly decreased my reps only. For you, if it genuinely feels weird, just drop your fudging ego. I don't care how much you're benching and overhead pressing for reps. Nobody cares as much as you think. Just flipping, either decrease your weight or decrease the amount of reps you do in a set so that you can actually like do it with this like proper form and, you know, go to feel out with this proper form. And I'm telling you, it's only gonna take like probably like a week or 2 weeks for you to finally get used to having your wrist stacked. And I'm telling you, your gains will be more than ever. You'll be able to bench like way more weight than you've ever imagined. You have to get used to this form, bro. You know, because I know when you're using dumbbells, you probably use this form, not this. Okay? Destroy your flipping ego. This will save you. Very small mistake, but fix it.